Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out the range. In my hands, I have my PTR-91. Now, this is a classic Cold War rifle. It's manufactured right here in the United States, and they're currently available. Great rifles. Love shooting them. Lots of fun. Certainly a classic. But there's one thing about this rifle that many people might take for granted, and that would be the HK style magazines. Now, this is an aluminum magazine. It's lighter weight than the steel magazines a lot of people go after. They're extremely high quality, very good magazines. And right now, as of this recording, they're actually quite affordable. They're like PMag affordable. So what would happen if you were to take that magazine and build another rifle around it? That's what we're gonna show you in today's video. A rifle, another classic, that uses HK91 magazines instead of AR10 type magazines, PMags, if you will, SR25s. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. Here we have just a couple of AR-10s chilling on the shooting shack bench. But there's a distinct difference between the two rifles. Now, I want to preface this conversation by saying that there really isn't a standard AR-10. Sure, there was an original AR-10, but today in 2023, as of this filming, AR-10s really are all over the place in terms of compatibility. This LWRC that you see here would not be compatible with its parts with a POF or with a DPMS G2 or with a PSA AR-10. It has proprietary parts in it. And you'll find, and we've shown this on the Military Arms channel before, that the bolts and carriers can vary in length and sizes between the various different models of AR-10. That's different than, say, the AR-15. The AR-15 has a core standard that people will build to so that accessories and magazines and things like that will always work between the different guns. But the AR-10s are all over the place. But AR-10 has historically used, modern AR-10s anyway, PMags, SR25 style magazines. And that magazine is not only popular in AR-10s, but you'll find it being used in different rifles. But there are other magazines out there, like the magazine we opened up the video talking about today, which is the G3 magazine. Now, why would somebody consider putting a G3 magazine into an AR-10? Good question. If you go back in time, not that far back in time, you'll remember the SCAR 17 fiasco, if you will. The U.S. military had just adopted the SCAR 17s for special operations. They placed a large order. Each rifle was being delivered with, I don't know how many mags, a bunch of mags. Therefore, there was a shortage of magazines on the civilian market. You could get the guns, but you couldn't get the magazines. Without a magazine, your gun's kind of useless. Companies sprung up and manufactured aluminum lowers to replace the polymer factory lower that would accept different magazines like AR-10 magazines. So you could feed your SCAR. So the concept is not new and going back and forth between different popular magazines. But the SCAR magazine is proprietary to the SCAR, so when there's a shortage of those magazines, having an alternative makes sense. This is kind of a standard magazine now, and not just PMags are available, not just Magpul magazines, but you have Lancer magazines and ASC magazines. A bunch of different companies make SR25 pattern mags. So you can't really say that there's a big concern that the SR25 style magazine is going to go away or become suddenly expensive. But that doesn't mean that you might not want to explore other mag options, which brings us back to the discussion of the G3 magazine. This AR-10, you'll notice, has a very different lower to it. And that's because, of course, this one is designed to work with HK91 style magazines, G3 style magazines. The gun is manufactured by 21st Tech. It's called the G3, G Roman numeral 3, which is kind of clever. And that's because, obviously, it uses the G3 style magazine. And it just pops right in, and you have a standard AR-15 style, AR-10 style mag release to release it. Everything else on the gun is pretty much patterned after the DPMS LR308. So you're going to find compatibility with the bolt and carrier, trigger components, the M4 style buffer tube and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of parts commonality with the DPMS style, and DPMS style was pretty popular for a long time. Now, they went out of business, but they're coming back because Palmetto State Armory, I believe, now owns them, and I'm starting to see DPMS products pop back up on the market, which means parts will be available for this gun, because if there ever was a standard, the DPMS is a pretty good one to go by, because again, it's been kind of standardized, not really, but sort of as close as we're going to get with the AR10s. Other than that, this gun is pretty much a standard AR10. It does have a billet upper and lower. It's made out of T6 aluminum. This one has a 16-inch barrel, but you can get them up to 20-inch barrels. You can get them in 6.5 Creedmoor. You can get them in 308. This one's in 308. And this one has a rifle-length direct gas impingement system in it. I call it internal piston. Some people call it DI. We'll just go with DI. It's more commonly used. And then the gas block is all the way out here towards the end of the barrel, and it is adjustable. So you can tune this gun to run with various different suppressors and different types of ammunition. Standard 5/8 by 24 thread out there. Has a nice anodized a look to it. So this doesn't appear to be Cerakote. I do believe it's anodization based upon the appearance of it. And it looks really, really sharp. Out here we have a standard pattern handguard, which does have M-lock all the way around it. And overall, the fit and finish of this gun is outstanding. It's a very, very good looking rifle. So inside of the gun, you're going to find just standard AR type fire control components. This is a standard M4 buffer tube, as I had mentioned, but has a 308 style buffer in it. When you take the bolt and carrier out, you're going to see that's just a DPMS LR308 style bolt with the M4 taper down back there, but it has that large bolt head on it. Gun weighs about 8.5 pounds. Has 1 in 10 rifling on it, and seems to shoot pretty darn good even with the Federal ammunition ball, which is generally speaking about 3 to 4 inch ammunition. We're seeing at least 2.5, 3 inch groups with it at 100 yards just with the standard Federal ball. And I might as well take that opportunity to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying the ammunition free of charge to the channel. Great ammunition, great company, been shooting it since I was a kid. All right, so let's do a little bit of shooting with the gun. On top of it, I do have a EOTech Voodoo optic, and I have it all set up. It's been roughly zeroed. We're going to do a little bit of shooting with it to demonstrate how this G3 magazine works with the gun. And then, yeah, I'll give you some final thoughts. So, the G3 magazine. There's an obvious downside to using the G3 magazine. The HK91 G3 was not designed to lock open the last shot fired. Therefore, that native functionality is not built into the magazine, which means there's no lock open feature on the AR10. If you look on the left-hand side of the receiver, you'll notice there's no controls over here. Now, you have a standard fire control selector here. It's obviously missing over here. Standard AR-15 trigger. You can swap that out, put your own selector in there if you want to. Pretty standard AR-15 fare. Of course, we have our forward assist and stuff right there. And again, it does have that parts commonality with DPMS style products. But this bad boy will not lock open on the last shot fired, and that's going to cause a problem for some folks watching the video. Other folks are going to look at this because they like the HK91, they have a PTR91, they like to have an AR10, have mag compatibility, stuff like that. In terms of this being a practical replacement for somebody that's prepping, choosing the HK91 magazine over the PMag, I'd probably just go with the PMag, but still this is kind of cool. It's definitely different, gives a different look to the AR10, and these are certainly quality magazines, so you can't really complain about it. And the fact right now these things are so dirt cheap, it'll make sense to some of you guys. And other folks, you're going to turn your nose up at this rifle. The cost of the rifle, right around $1,400-1,500, so it's not stupid expensive, but it's still a pretty big ticket item if you're looking to pick up an AR10. All right, so we've inserted the magazine. Now we just charge it like a standard AR10. And now we can do a little bit of shooting. Go down to my challenge targets at 100 yards. I'm going to shoot the little guy on the left. All right, last shot fired, drop that magazine out, and clear. So shooting it, it's pretty pleasant. I could probably adjust that gas system a little bit. Haven't played with it. I just started firing it right out of the box. They do test fire the guns. There's evidence of test firing on the gun when I opened it up. And it did come with 3 magazines. Again, the magazines are available out there Again, they're like 10 bucks or so a magazine. You can find them on RTG Parts and stuff like that. Just do a Google search. You'll find them all over the place. And so if you already have a large stash of the HK91 mags, whatever, this might make a lot of sense to you guys. Shooting it, it's like shooting any other AR-10. The accuracy is really good with the rifle. It's definitely on par with other good quality AR-10s I've fired out there. And it's just a smooth shooting gun. So overall, the 21st Tec GIII rifle that you see here is an interesting AR-10. Certainly seems to be a quality built rifle. I like the finish. The ergonomics are standard AR-10. I have a metric ton of these magazines because I have original HK rifles, I have PTRs, and there was a time when these things were like $2 to $4 each. They're a little bit more expensive today, but the price of these fluctuates, but they're always generally really affordable magazines. And again, the nice thing about them is they're generally HK made or licensed HK made, and they're all going to be of high quality, and the fitment is going to be consistent across the magazine. So very nice touch, interesting rifle. Again, would I recommend this over something that uses a PMag? Well, for me, no. It really wouldn't make all that much sense, but somebody out there, it might, in terms of a range gun, a hunting rifle, just to kind of do it all fun 308. I don't see any reason why not to consider the HK91 style magazine. Now, some of you guys are going to be upset about the lack of a bolt hole open feature, and other folks just won't care. Again, that's just a personal preference. Those crazy Europeans have been averse to bolt hole opens forever. But it's nice that it has that adjustable gas block. It's a direct gas impingement gun, so it's nice and smooth when it fires. It's not going to beat you up. Has a decent trigger in it. It's just overall a really decent gun. And the price isn't outrageously expensive. In today's world, $2,000, $2,500 AR-10s are not unheard of, and this is going to be $1,000 less than that. So anyway, it's an interesting rifle. Check them out. If you have any questions, ask those questions down below. I generally stick around for the first couple of days after a video goes live to answer the questions you guys may have. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms channel so we can continue to bring you content like this, please consider becoming part of our Patreon family. A link in the video description below. Right here on YouTube, you got the join and thanks button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Mash either one of those and you can help support us here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. Thank you for 15 years of support. Swing by, check out Copper Custom, and we will talk to you guys soon. Didn't know if I had a round in the chamber or not.